Once again, I ask everybody, all the ladies that's on the panel, will they be comfortable with us going Facebook Live? Everybody did agree. I usually do a consent form and ask everybody to sign it before we do it for video. And I just got the verbal yes from everybody. Can we just unmute yourself and just say yes, this is being recorded? Keisha, you muted.
Keisha McCroskey, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Who said yes?
Melissa.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Leslie, yes.
Thank you. Donna?
Adana, yes.
Thank you. I'm just being careful.
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to go on Facebook Live. And so before we get into one more thing, we're going to go in order. So the first one will be Delithrish. Am I saying your name right? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Delithrish? You hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I need Delithrish to hear me too. Because she's the first one.
You said Deetris?
Yeah, Deetris.
Yes.
My bad. I'm sorry. You're first. Then we have Adana.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have Keisha. Then we have Melissa. Nigeria's on. I see other people coming on. So we want to make sure everybody that come on will be muted. Please mute your phone, please. Thank you.
Greetings, friends. How you doing? It's Nigeria.
Peace, Queen. How you doing? Please mute your phone.
Hi, Nigeria. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
The young lady with the WAPW shirt on is the CEO and founder, and that's Shanice Gatewood.
Very nice to meet you, Shanice Gatewood.
Peace. How you doing?
Good.
Okay.
I'll mute now.
I'm going to go live. Hi, Queen that just came in. Please mute your phone or your computer. I muted. It's okay. Fixing my Facebook. Fixing my Facebook, everybody. Hold on.
Said I'm waiting for his number so I can give you a number.
Okay.
Mr. Joseph, can you please mute your phone?
He's all by himself today.
I will.
Thank you. Okay, I see on my, hold on. I'm about to press go live. Hello, everyone. My name is Shanice Gatewood Ali. I am the CEO and founder of We Are Phenomenal Women. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. I would like to bring to you this wonderful panel of sisters, and we also have some brothers, but they are on the sideline. However, we have some beautiful ladies that will be speaking and sharing a story. Together, we will fight against domestic violence. We also have our beautiful queens, my beautiful queen sister, Keisha, who will be talking about sexual abuse as well. Sexual abuse and domestic violence go hand in hand. Some of us do not understand how one thing can also trigger another. So please stay tuned and listen to our beautiful queens tell their stories. Thank you, queens, for coming on. We Are Phenomenal Women. Together, we will fight against domestic violence panel. Usually we do this out at a YMCA or somewhere, but however, because of COVID, we can't even get in the same room together like we used to back in the day. We used to have at least 75 to 100 people in the room, so we can't even do that. However, we do have live Facebook family, so let's get to it. Ladies, introduce yourself. Please mute yourself one by one and tell me, who are you? Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Dietrich Oma Leslie. I am a woman and girls advocate, and I am the CEO of the Events in the Escape Travel.
Thank you. Please mute
Hi, my name is Keisha McCroskey. I'm the CEO of Seeds for Growth and Development. We show support for sex trafficking victims. I'm so grateful to be a part of this event. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you. Adana.
How do I get myself large on the screen?
Sister, I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, ladies. My name is Adana. I'm a victim of domestic violence. And I'm happy to be here to share my story.
Thank you. Sister Melissa.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Melissa Pena Dickens. I am a administrator for the New York Dreamcatchers, which is a financial group in New York that teaches women about finance. And I'm also becoming a certified domestic violence advocate through We Are Phenomenal Women.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So my queens, once again, we definitely let everybody know who we are, what we do, what organizations we are part of. I want to ask you, what made you be a part of this panel right here? Tell me, what made you be a part of this panel? Deletris. I keep pronouncing your name wrong. I'm going to just call you by the last name or Miss Travel. Go ahead.
What made me be a part is that domestic violence is one of the #1 killers that's plaguing our communities, and we need to bring awareness to it because it's a silent killer that women and men don't recognize, or we just sweep it under the rug and think it's okay.
Right. Absolutely. Adana.
Hi, what made me want to be a part of this panel is because so many women are going through it and they don't think they can get out. And I feel like if I was strong enough to get out, you could get out too. You just have to set yourself a plan.
Right,
And
absolutely. Keisha.
My turn? Oh, hi. What made me want to be a part of this because it's a need, it's awareness that needs to be addressed. There's so many women that suffer from human sex trafficking, and it just need to be addressed because it's not really talked about much. So that's why I'm a part of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Melissa.
Yeah, so currently I'm still going through the process and journey of my own situation. I'm going through a very tough divorce right now. It's about to be a year with the proceedings, and there's still a long way to go. And I just figured, for myself, I don't want to take the cape of victimhood. I see myself as victorious. And I just want to share that testimony with others to encourage them that, we can get through this. I'm still not through my whole process as of yet, and I have a long way to go. I do have 2 young children, but I just try to keep positive, that's with everything, and just try to encourage others through my own testimony that we can fight and battle domestic violence.
Right, absolutely. But I do want to say, yes, we all can get out of this, but we have to get out of it safely. There's a lot of sisters that play around with the order protections. Um, I feel like sometimes we need to get out of the space that we're in, because if you have an order protection against your abuser and you live in the same building, that's not going to help. So I do believe they need to start working on, give people classes or get people to understand having this order protection. These are the things that you need to do. Maybe you need to go to a family member house, or go somewhere that's not in the same space of your abuser, because you're going to run into him or her again, because domestic violence is not just one-sided, which is just the man beating on the woman. It's also the other way around as well. So with that, I would like for us to continue to go in order and tell us about your story. Share with us your story. Yes, in order. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Oh, my story. So I'm gonna sum up real quickly. I was the young girl, got married, had the dreams, the picket white fence and everything, and realized that it was domestic violence at that time. Um, Financially, we both had a good job. He had a better job, made more money, but the verbal abuse and the hitting, and I stayed only because I had a daughter. And I think what woke me up at the time is that um, letting her see us, every now and then have a fist fight, or just thinking, it's gonna get better, but it didn't get better. So one situation where I had to take my daughter to the doctor, he stayed home from work to help me take her to the doctor. And then he fell down, while he was waiting to go to the doctor, he ended up falling off a ladder. So right then and there, he had to have surgery and broke his spine. So I was like, wow, after everything is said and gone, I was like, this feels like the movie from one of Tyler Perry movies, but it wasn't. Even after his suffering and everything, he still was the same person. And it really nothing changed, but it was the verbal abuse and the mental abuse. That it wasn't the physical, but one thing that really woke me up is when he said, "I'm the one who made you." So that's when it's like, it's time to do better and get it out. But it didn't get out. My husband ended up passing away years later.
So were you dealing with a physical, mental, verbal? What type of now that we know these things now, because while we in the midst of the abuse, we cannot even call it for what it is at the time.
Right.
So now, what is it that you call it now? What you went through?
What I went through was more verbal abuse and mental abuse, because I had to be with you to take your daughter to the doctor, or you had to have this set of friends, or you're not clocking, but I'm going this place, you know. And I said maybe it was, we had a little age gap in between, but I believe it mostly was the verbal mental abuse. It wasn't the financial, because we both had, you know, good jobs.
Right.
But I didn't leave. I stayed because of, okay, how I'm going to make it financially with one income.
Right.
So sometimes we stay for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it was verbal and mental.
Yes, for me it was.
Okay.
And I know I said I didn't want my daughter. I didn't want my daughter to have a life like what I went through.
Right. I know I said I was going to ask questions later, but I seem like when you mentioned verbal and mental, to me, I feel like all abuse is the same, but to the individual, what to you? I'm asking, what was the one of the things that still creep up in your mind right now? Because even though we are not in that relationship anymore, does not mean that those whatever it was said to us or done to us is completely gone. Is called trauma and PTSD that we suffer from. So what's one of the things that, was it something verbal that he said to you that still bother you in the mind or still creep up in your head, or was it something on the mental aspect? Like what, share with me something where is that still mess with you right now today.
It doesn't mess with me, but it makes me a stronger person, and it makes me determined to keep going on and live the fullest of life. When someone can say, I made you, that means they had control over you, or thought they did at one point in your life.
Right. Absolutely. Wow. Wow. I made you. I hear that. Whew. I'm sorry to hear that, sis, but I'm happy you are on the other side of, I don't even want to say rainbow. It's on the other side of survivalhood. Like you got out of that and you're good. You started your own business. I would like for you to just tell us about your business real quick too, before I get to our next point. Tell us about your business.
Currently I have 2 businesses. So I have event planner and travel. I do destination weddings, romance, and couples and group travel and events. And right now I'm getting ready to launch an academy to train other women how to be entrepreneurs in fields that we don't think we can be in, like cleaning or being a CEO of an industry. So this year will be 25 years in the industry that I'm in. So
All right.
I'm ready to help other women say they can do it.
That's right. And guess what? You're going to help those women who feel like their mate, their mate is the breadwinner. You're going to help her understand you can make your own money. So
Yeah.
financial survivalhood. Thank you. Thank you. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Yes. Let's go to our next queen. Go ahead. Tell us about you and your story.
Okay, I was abused physically. For those who just turned on, my name is Adana. I'm 47 and I'm from Brooklyn. I was abused physically, mentally, and verbally. I knew about domestic violence, but I didn't think that it could happen to me because I was always fighting everybody. So I knew that I wasn't going to go through that. I got into the relationship because I never wanted to just be a baby's mama. I was married once when I was younger. So the second time around, the guy who I was abused to, I don't want to
Mhm.
say my husband because I don't want to take ownership.
Mm.
So he's no longer with me. He's not mine. I don't belong to him. So it's the first time he hit me is when I was at his mother's house. It's because I brought our daughter there and I didn't do anything. His mother knew and she just looked at me. And the next time it happened is when he came to my house when our daughter was small, and he stayed over and he hit me, but my brother was in the next room and he was like nudging me in the bed. And I wouldn't even yell and tell my brother to come help me. I kept quiet. So I guess that was the window for him my abuser to say, okay, I could continue to do this. She's not gonna say anything. So we had fights, bad fights. After a while, I was so tired, I didn't want to fight no more. So he would just hit me and I just stopped fighting back. I was just tired. After the thing that sticks in my mind is one time he was mad at me. I don't remember why, but I was in the kitchen and I always walk around. I didn't have any bra on. I just had my shirt on and he took my nipple and pulled it so hard and squeezed it that I put my hand in some hot cabbage in a pot and I threw it in his face. And I know the pot, I was cooking it, but I did not feel that hot cabbage. I just wanted him to get off of me. And then I fell to the ground because my breast was hurting so bad. What made me decide to have a plan to leave, I had wrote something, but I'm not even gonna read what I wrote. What made me decide to get a plan to leave is because my son was getting older. And one time we had a fight and my son yelled, "Get off my mother." And my son was ready to fight him. And then my daughter was in the corner crying. So I said, okay, I have to set a plan. I had to make sure that the kids were asleep before he came home and that I was in bed too, because he always told me there was no need for me to wake up. So I just had everything running smoothly. So hopefully there wouldn't be any fights or anything. Of course it was. One time he even called the cops on me. And when they came, he said that I was bothering him. And they told me if they had to come back, that they would take me. He was yelling in the window, "Help, help." I wasn't doing anything to him, but that's so they can take his side. A test came around for I was working school safety at the time, and things were really getting bad. And my job was got involved because we just had a fight that morning and I just came straight to work. But they didn't really do anything to help me. I just feel like they wanted to hear my story, but they weren't really there to help me. You know, I was still in the household. I would say I would leave him, but then I didn't leave. I felt that I needed him to help me with money because he darn sure didn't help with the kids, and he only gave me a certain amount of money. And even came to a point where he wanted to take my paycheck because he told me that I don't know what I'm doing with the money, that he can manage it more than I can. Mind you, I was paying the rent. I was buying food. One time he got so mad and I told him to leave, he took all the food out the freezer. So we didn't have any food. So I had to wait till I get paid again to get food for the freezer. Of course, I could have went to my mother's house but you don't want everybody in your business like that. So you stay at their house for long enough time. When it's close to dinner, of course your mom's gonna say, "Oh, y'all wanna stay for dinner?" And we did. So to sum up the story, correction officers test was coming around. So I said, "I'm gonna take this test." And he was mad and he said to me, "You're never gonna get this job. They take years and years to call people." But I was determined because I knew my kids was getting older. I didn't want my son to get hurt because I know my son is getting older. He's gonna defend his mother. So what I did is I took the test. I passed it. He moved out to his mother's house because his mother was moving. Silly me, I went over to his mother's house with all my stuff because I was moving there. But then when they called me for orientation, corrections said we don't tolerate domestic violence. If you are dealing with somebody and you're going through this any loose ends, you need to cut these people off. And I know that I didn't cut him off yet. One night he went out, he didn't come home till the morning. When I questioned him, he punched me in my face and I bust my eardrum. So that right there, that year, I couldn't go in. So I went in 2006 because my eardrum was bust. My mother was watching the kids. He was still out, he was out the house, but I was back in my old apartment because I didn't lose my old apartment. I thought I needed him to watch the kids, but he one night he said to me, "What are you doing? Because I'm watching the kids. You making me sleep in the living room. You're not sleeping with me." By then I had a little courage because I'm working in the jail and it's something about that environment builds up your self-esteem and you're tough. So I told him, I said, "We're not doing anything. You're here watching the kids." So he said to me, "In the morning when you wake up, you won't see me anymore." And I didn't see him anymore. And I'm on my job, and everything is doing good. And I've been trying to get a divorce for years. And just this year, I was able to get a divorce. Well, it's in process. But with this pandemic, it put a pause on it. So that's why I don't like using the last name Hines, because that's his last name. So I always say Idana. But I'm out that situation. I'm not scared to be in a new relationship. I stayed by myself for a long time because I realized I had to get myself together first before I can try to date again. And I feel fine. My kids, well, my son, we don't have such a good relationship now because this whole ordeal damaged him mentally. But I apologize to him for allowing him and his sister to go through the situation. But I also said to him, I'm not going to apologize my whole life because we have to move forward. And I'm not trying to play a victim. So I just want to share my story to women to let them know there is hope, not for you to be a victim the rest of your life. And that's my story. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. When I spoke to you on the phone, it was like, oh, I got to get the sister. Oh, we was on the phone for what? A couple of hours, and I was at work, and we talked, and she shared, and I said, no, I got to get her on here because, one, your story means so much to others. You know, we kind of leaving the meat out.
Yes.
And I don't want us to leave the meat out because when our sister or our brother who's going through DV, they don't want to, they feel ashamed, and we should not feel ashamed anymore. You know, I got out when my 3-year-old, my daughter was 3 years old, and she saw me on the floor after her father hit me, and I fell to the floor. That was like, that I had to get out because I'm looking at this 3-year-old who's like ready to come help her mother off the floor. You know, I remember it was a time when I went to run and I guess jump on his back, and he just moved out the way and I fell straight to the floor. So, you know, my back hit the concrete. I remember it was the time when he choked me up when I was pregnant. You know, sometimes those stories, our people need to hear those stories because DV is not nothing nice. Those words, those harsh words being said to you in the middle of the night when you and that person is in a room and that person is telling you ain't never gonna amount to nothing, you ain't shit, you know, you ain't going nowhere. If you try to leave, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill this one. Those harsh words need to be expressed because we can't sugarcoat, because this is real life stories. You know, we have young girls that is growing up underneath us or around us, families, our daughters, our nieces, you know, they've grown up, even our nephews. I mean, they need to hear this from our mouth, because sometimes my kids feel like, oh, you don't know how I feel. No, I do know how you feel. I do. I've been in it, you know, so it is time for us to awaken the dead. You know, our souls are dead when we in these type of relationships, because we get caught up with drinking. You know, we start smoking more, drinking more, other using substance, period. Why? Because we're trying to escape this hate, this love that we think is love. We're trying to get out of it, but we can't, we don't know where to go. So we wind up falling into the substance abuse. And then we trying to figure everything out on our own, because we don't want to share our stories with other people, because people are so judgmental. You know, I
Yes.
had one person, my cousin, she was a year older than me. What can she really do for me? She was still living in her mother's house. The only thing she could do for me was pray with me, talk with me, and tell me I do not deserve that. Every single day. Of course, she was like, "You want me to come up and get this?" But if he doing that to me, what makes you think they are going to do that to you? You know. So that means this individual just don't have respect for women. You know, and vice versa with the woman. If a woman is that way towards the guy, that means she don't have no respect for the guy. So moving on in order, Sister Queen Keisha, come on in. Okay, you're on mute. There
Thank
you
you,
go.
ladies. Thank you. Thank you, Shanice, for allowing me to be a part of this event. I'm so happy because this is an event that needs to be done over and over again, time after time. You know, you know, wow. I've been listening to your stories, but my story is really long, but I'm gonna keep it really short because it's so many other people on here. Um, I've been involved, like my whole life has been most of my life, I should say, was around domestic violence from the age 6 all the way up to my late 40s. It started in my household with verbal abuse, then child abuse. Then it led on to being married in an abuse situation. But what I'm here to talk about is sex trafficking because that's part of my story as well. And this is something that's very neat because it starts in the household. It starts it starts and right in your own backyard. You understand? And sex trafficking for me was when I made a decision to tell a lie on myself for attention, not knowing that this lie was going to cause trauma in my life for it become a reality. Because being that I was young and I was in a family, my family setting was dysfunctional, there wasn't a lot of education being taught in the household, like education as far as how to be a child, how to conduct yourself as a person. So I basically had to find out things on my own. So TV and asking people how to do things was a part of my story. So one time I was going to the movies with a girlfriend of mine, and I asked my mom's, can I go? And she said no, which she did not live with me, but I was living with my grandmother. But I didn't want to get a beating, so I lied and said that I was raped. And being raped to me, when I was looking at it on TV, I thought, I didn't know it was had something to do with sex. Because like I said, I'm just only 10 years old. I didn't really know a lot. And when I said that, I thought I was going to get the reaction of love or attention, like overlook of what I did wrong or whatever. But my reality was a member of my family raped me for real. I got raped and I got molested over and over and over again. So, and the one time that got me, when a family members that I trust invited me to their house, and I always, me and my girls used to always go to his house and smoke weed and do what we do. And like one time it was like, I don't know how he got me there, but I trusted him. And next thing I know, when I got to his house, he wasn't there. There was a stranger there waiting for me. And this stranger took advantage of me, and he did what he wanted to do. I did whatever he wanted me to do because I was afraid. That was the first time that I was trafficked at that time. And then it went on being in a marriage, domestic violence situation where my husband was fighting me. And once I got out of that relationship, I was still there with him, connected. I remember like being so caught up in that life where he used to have me pay me to find girls to have sex with him. So I became a part of that, became normal for me because I was just caught up, you understand? And until I realized that something was wrong and I needed to get some help because a situation occurred where my husband did something so drastic to one of his daughters that I had to I had to shut it down. I had to I had to look at the fact that something was wrong with this picture. So I did what I was supposed to have done, got him, got the police involved, and that's when I was able to get away from him. And throughout that situation, I knew it was something I needed to do, but I didn't know, like, later in life, after going through trials and tribulation as being and like being part of the streets, when I got saved, I realized God spoke to me when I was at my lowest point of being homeless, that you have to help. You have to help my people. And I didn't know what that meant. So I remember wanting to do something with the young people. It was a lot of gun violence. And I wanted to be a part of that, but after going to different events, and when I went to a class on human trafficking, my trauma came back to me, and I realized that there was something that was a need that not a lot of people was really talking about. So I said, let me just get involved with this. So that's when I developed Scenes for Growth and Development, Inc. This is a non-for-profit. I'm the CEO of that, and we help self-trafficking. We help sex trafficking victims get the support that they need. Right now I'm working on doing getting a transitional housing, and I run a support group like every Monday for trauma victims and for people that have trauma of any kind, because like what we going through right now, is trauma. So, you know, being this pandemic, you know, as I was doing my research, because I was telling Shanice that, she, when I reached out to her and said, I need all the help that I can get to do this, because, people don't want to get involved until it really happens to their family, or they don't want to get involved until they become a victim, but you know what, if we can just make this awareness so we can prevent for a child from being molested today, by putting the story out there and letting people know that it starts in the home, and to pay attention to our own kids, because it's just not with women, it's with men too. You understand? So we have to realize that we can't allow our kids to just do what they want to do, how they want to do. We have to keep a close eye on our children. So, like, and pay attention what's happening in the world. Because, like, right now, it should be everybody's business. People will be like, they don't want to, get involved because none of their business, or these girls, they don't know what these girls are going through, because a lot of women are being coerced of doing the things that they don't want to do, or their minds is not there. So we have to get involved. We have to get involved even if we don't want to. We cannot turn away and look the other cheeks, people. You know, um, this is a really this, like, I had wrote down some stuff because we had a meeting yesterday, and I wanted to address some things. The hotline.
Oh,
The
but
number.
okay, so wait, before you do that, Queen, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
I'm
want you to
sorry.
tell,
I just
no,
went on and on.
I
I do
know,
apologize.
but the hotline, and we're gonna get into that, Luke, like close to the closing.
Okay.
I do want you to let us know what is one of the signs that we need to look for in our children who might be getting molested in the household. What is one of the signs, or maybe name a few signs?
Well, the changes of their behavior is one of the signs. When you knowing your child is like used to being, active, their grades, it was a A, then it's dropping down to be like they failing in class. They're not being, connecting with the family anymore. There's signs. There's signs. Because if you study your child, you would know something is wrong. And, I just say this, the mother have to be open, or the parent, whoever is taking care of them, to be open to, so they can be comfortable to be able to share some things with them and to believe them, because no one believed these things happened to me, because they was listening to so many lies that people was telling on me. And it was happening. It was really happening.
So before we go to the next queen, I wanna definitely thank you so much, and just I would love to give a moment of silence of
Yes.
just a moment of silence of anyone who might be dealing with domestic violence or sexual abuse. Give a moment of silence to that. Thank you. We don't know what could be going on in somebody's household. Um, Especially, right now we are really being isolated. At the beginning it was really, really rough. Nobody knew what the heck was going on. You constantly hearing stay home, stay home, stay home. They even had the curfew for us to stay home. We couldn't go out. And if we did, we got to get in by a certain time. And now, we're able to get out a little bit. But in the midst of that storm, it was so many people that was who are going through stuff. And it's especially the youth, our kids is so used to being out and being active. And can you imagine if the woman is being abused in the house and then the children are being abused as well? It trickled down, you know, or the man is being verbally abused by the woman. It it's really trickled down to the children, and it affects the whole family. So I personally, I went to therapy, and don't get me wrong, we still need to go to therapy every now and then because we need somebody to talk to, somebody who's not going to be judgmental about our story, and need somebody to just listen. Not all the time. You need somebody who's going to clap back, um, or always want to voice their opinion. You just want to just have someone to just listen to you. So, Keisha, I want to thank you for sharing your story. I know it still bothers you, it still hurts you, because the last time we spoke, um, and I'm the type of sister, I would give you a hug. I would drive to where you at and be like, I need to come hug the sister. We can't even do that right now. But I am, anytime you want to pick up, anytime you want to call me, you're more than welcome to reach out. I told you that before. Um, Nigeria, she's been in a room where we just boohoo, and the queens would just get up one by one and just give everybody, give that sister a hug. Uh, and I think at that time, all our emotions kick up. Um, we don't know who being hugged in the house. Some people don't even get I love yous, you know. So in our support groups, those are the things that we have done. And it hurts that we can't even get together and be there for one another, but we could definitely be there for one another during the Zoom or pick up the phone and call. So Melissa, your next sis, speak your mind, tell us about you and your story, please. Can't hear you.
Yeah, so along the lines of what Sister Keisha, can you guys hear me?
You're breaking up some, but we can hear you. So when Melissa getting that together, Melissa did write, domestic violence affects everyone, women, men, children, elders. It knows to bounds in terms of race, creed, color, or religion. And then she also mentioned, Nigeria mentioned to Keisha. Melissa, I'm waiting for you. No, Melissa also put, I know it's hard discussing our traumatizing past events, but there is healing and release. I appreciate all of you that are courage enough to share your story today. Guess Melissa gonna call back in. Nigeria said, God bless you. Trauma is real. Your work is not in vain. Keep going, Keisha. Okay. So while I'm waiting for Melissa, I'm just going to tell everybody why I decided to start my organization. I just started because I always wanted to do something good for the community. I wanted to work with the children on bullying. So then when I sat back and I thought about it, I'm doing all this, trying to do all this bullying stuff, and I'm like, wait, hold up. I know about domestic violence, and I'm stirring away from DV and going to bullying. Then when I did a lot of more of my research, bullying is the baby of domestic violence. Our children learn how to become bullies because they see it in the household. So, Melissa, you there? You there? Okay.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my
We hear you. Come on.
connection. Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of my parents, I love everything and aspire to everything that they were doing except their personal relationship. My father, he was verbally and emotionally abusive to my mother, as was she to my dad. So in my mind, like, I never dated Spanish men. You know, there's this term in Spanish culture called machismo. That's like, you know, the whole macho thing. And I never ascribed to that personally. And I never dated Spanish guys because of that. So my preference was always, you know, black men, black guys. I ended up marrying a Caribbean guy from Jamaica. And what I didn't tie in my mind with that was the whole, like, that Caribbean subculture. Because my father's Dominican, he's Caribbean as well. And I just didn't tie that in. I just looked at him as, oh, he's a black guy, you know, he's not Spanish, so he don't have that machismo going on, but he's still Caribbean. And I was with him for 10 years. You know, we met at work, everything was great. He was never diagnosed as a narcissist, but me looking back now and things I've learned now, I feel like he was like a covert narcissist. So very charming, very, like, you know, he was going to be like the man of my dreams. You know, it's like he fit the bill, hardworking, you know, seemed supportive. But over time, he was emotionally being abusive by being neglectful to me. And now, as we're going through these divorce proceedings, I'm feeling the financial abuse. You know, we're fighting, you know, for custody of the children, despite me doing everything for my kids, being the primary caretaker and all of that. So, you know, there's levels and stages. And I just feel like there comes a point, I mean, it's easy to just always blame, well, so-and-so did this to me and so-and-so did that to me. But it's like, at the end of the day, we have to sometimes just take a mirror and look at ourselves and try to see, like, well, how did I get myself into this? And it's not a matter of blaming ourselves. That's not what I'm advocating. But it's just more like, the only thing we can control is ourselves. You know, anything outside of ourselves, we have absolutely no control over. So if we are able to take that hard look at ourselves first, you know, before looking to the outside of what could have happened, you know, whether it was the household, whether it was a family, a friend, like what circumstance was, it's like, how do we look at ourselves to see, well, how did I maybe, you know, play into this situation? And again, not taking it as a blame, as saying that, oh, it's our fault that it happened. Absolutely not. But we have more control over the things that we can become aware of that we participated in, to change that towards the future to not happen again. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, like Keisha just said in her own story there, you know, she told a lie, you know, and again, that wasn't to say, well, her being abused was her fault, but she has enough self-awareness to see where she played a little part into what then took place, you know. And overall, for me, I got comfortable in terms of, like, being with the man that he had money, you know, and that had me stay a little extra than I needed to. I also played into the whole societal, like, okay, try to keep the family unit together. Culturally, and that kind of played into me too, like me buying into that whole, well, you know, you're a mom, try to keep the family together. That had me stay a little longer than I needed to in my particular relationship. So it's just trying to find the levels and layers of that self-awareness and trying to tap into, like, okay, how can I, as an individual, how can I do better? This happened to me, that happened to me. Let's take a look back, and a quick look. We don't want to stay too much into the past, because what's done is done. So in terms of moving forward, let me take a quick glance at the past, see what happened. What can I, as an individual now, do better to now move forward into what it is I really want? And the mindset also has to be, like, focus on what it is that you want moving forward. Guilt, the shame, the blaming that we play into, you know, in our minds. And most everything starts in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even before anybody says anything else. So trying to find those boundary lines and those positive area lines that we could hold on to then move forward. So that's my story.
So your story, thank you, Queen. So what you went through was verbal, physical.
Verbal. It didn't become physical. It was leading to that point though. It
Okay.
never got to the physical point, but it was escalating to that. It was verbal, emotional neglect, and financial. Right now, I'm dealing with the financial effects of abuse through court proceedings. You know, he every time we was going to court up until February 2020. My case started in September of 2019. And up until February, because then COVID hit in March, so everything again got delayed. He would come with like a new accusation, a new thing that now has to be battled, you know, is being battled in court and it has to be challenged, you know. So, and another big thing, that's why I'm speaking on the financial aspect. I lost 2 great jobs. I was with a private employer, Northwell Health, for 16 years, and I had just gotten hired for a federal position at the VA. Lost both the jobs because of court, and you know, couldn't miss court. So it was like, okay, do I get terminated or do I just resign? You know, so these forced decisions that had to be made. But thankfully, you know, again, keeping my focus on God and the higher power that He is, like just keeping that positivity going despite everything. You know, I was able to get unemployment. Then COVID hit, the school closures. I was able to be home with my kids and homeschool them despite not working. And then thankfully, just being in prayer and tithing and everything, I really got hired like a week after, in the beginning week of July.
You breaking up.
I got hired, you know, brand new. I was.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Because you know what? A lot of our sisters feel like they stuck in this situation. A lot of sisters believe they're stuck. A lot of men believe they're stuck in the situation as well. I remember we had an event, and one of the brothers, he was a bouncer, and he shared with us how he was still under the PO or CO or PO, and he had to report back and forth. And the young lady that he was living with, he was underneath her address, and she knew it. So she would threaten him if he wanted to do certain things. She would threaten him and say, "Well, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna call your parole officer." So you know, those things there will make a man, you know, feel some kind of way, like, yo, what the heck? So we know we can't physically abuse the man, but I think most of us can verbally abuse the men. And then 9 times out of 10, that verbal can lead into physical majority of the time, you know. Or a woman will want the man to hit her, you know, so she could call the cops. So it's so much. It's so much. And we definitely gotta understand that we should not be putting our hands on one another. Period. You know, I think we
And
all
Shanice,
we are
I
underneath
agree
work
with.
in process. Hold on 1 second. We are all work in progress. All of us. And we was taught, because our parents used to bust our behinds, you know, and our ancestors got whipped when they did something wrong or whatever have you. So it's a passed down generational thing that's going on, and most of us who get angered, that's what we do. Is it right? No, it's not. So we are all work in progress. So go ahead, sis. I'm sorry. Unmute yourself. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I agree with the state. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. I said I was gonna agree. I agree with what you stated, that abuse is abuse. You know, no one abuse is higher than the other. I felt, because of my emotion, like for example, me being in court right now, the emotional abuse is kind of hard to show in a sense, because it's like, okay, how do you show that? You know, we all react differently emotionally,
Right.
and it's just different. But abuse is abuse. You know, physical is no greater than emotional. Emotional is no greater than verbal. Like, it's just all on the same level bad.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
just negative. It's just bad, no matter what it is, whether it's physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, mental, financial, like on any level. It's just bad because we don't merit that. We're all
Right.
kings, we're all queens, and we have children, we have next generations following. It's like we don't we need to just cut it at the root, 'cause it's bad.
Right. Absolutely. So this is why I was asking, what is that one thing that still come up in your mind, and sometimes people would say mental abuse is worse, verbal abuse is worse. I believe all of it is bad. I mean, even family violence, that's bad. Family violence is somebody molesting you in the house, and all of that. It it does something to you. It will stump your growth. Some. Then when you realize that you're not the only one who's going through this, then that's when you're like, oh wow, you too, me too. And now I can have these conversations with you because we both need healing. And that's why I started the support groups, because I don't want nobody to ever feel like you're by yourself. You're not the only one. You know, um, even like I said with the men, when I had something with the men, marriage couple therapy, and a lot of the men was agreeing how they don't have no space in the closet. These are conversations that we are just having, that we all can relate to in some kind of way. You know, we as women, majority of us have gone through someone molesting us. Someone, right? Majority. I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying majority, because we don't get the chance to speak on it, so we don't know who been molested from a family member in the house. Those conversations need to come up with our children. When they, like Keisha said, when the grades start going down, when the kids start isolating themselves from family members. Why? Because they're afraid to get attached, or they're afraid that it might happen again, or they don't know who to trust. All these little key factors, you got to keep your eyes and ears open. When the kids start moving away, certain, all those things is key factors of something happened to that child. Because why? We seen it in us.
Yes.
We seen it in us. So let's just keep this movement going, and keep talking to the next sister, the next brother, and share with them, you're not by yourself. I've gone through this too. This is deep. This is really, really deep. So I want to ask, I want to ask a question, and then one of the questions is, what was the last straw for y'all? In order, what was the last straw for you? In order. You thinking over there? I see your head, your eyes going up. What was the last straw for you?
Shanice, can I just share?
You can't say
'Cause I
not
gotta
right
leave
now,
soon.
sis. Your phone is acting crazy.
Okay.
Wait,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
was going in and out. Hold on. Go ahead. You don't know what was the last straw for you?
Shanice,
Yes.
I believe the last straw for me was, like I said, my husband had an accident. So he had to learn how to walk and do everything all over again. And he still was in that same domestic violence mode, even while he was trying to recover. And I was the one that was helping him recover. So the last straw for me was during that time, even though I still had to help him. But I was like, I'm not taking this abuse and helping someone. I mean, that was saying to my mind. I didn't say it out loud.
Right.
But like, wow, like God didn't change you through this situation, and you still carry on like this. And that was my last straw.
Wow. Okay. So you saying in your head, but you crippled behind, you still want to treat me like this? That's what they was really saying. I know. Just to break ice just a little bit. Yes, Queen. What was the last straw for you?
Well, the last straw for me was when I tried to leave, and he told me I couldn't leave and take our daughter, that she would have to stay behind, and I could just go by myself. And I said I wasn't leaving my daughter. So right then I said, I have a plan in motion. I have to keep being cool and just deal with whatever is going to happen until I left. And I actually left when he was at work. And I texted him, I said, I left out in the morning, like me and the kids. I was going to drop him to school to go to work. And I came back when I knew he was going. And I grabbed up as much clothes as I could. And I texted him, I said, when you get home, we won't be there.
Wow.
And that was it. So that was it for me. I was just tired of being, I was just tired of being tired.
There you go. Enough is enough, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Sister Queen Keisha, go ahead.
Well, the last straw for me was when, after all he was doing to me, it was moving towards him doing it to one of his kids. And I have a son by him. So I didn't want my son to be raised up in a household with domestic violence.
Right.
I didn't want him to have all the, I wanted to raise him up to be a man because, being that I wasn't raised by my moms, I wanted to be the one who raised him. I didn't want him to go into the system because if I would have kept up with him, eventually someone would have took my son away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And when the last straw was when it was enough was enough, when I heard my story from one of his kids, and I just knew that it was time to shut him down. It was time for him to stop because I felt like all the things that he done to me, with the rape, with the abuse, being pistol beating, from all the stuff, like I have marks on my body for now that remind me of the incidents that we had. And when I heard that he was doing this to his kids, I had to shut it down. I had to get involved. And I had to just, even though I didn't have much help, but I had God. And I got them the help that they need, even though no one helped me through my ordeal.
Right. Thank you. Wow. Sister Queen, come on. Your phone better not act up. Sure.
I know this one's acting up today. The last straw for me, before my specific DV incident, was 3 months after I had canceled my original divorce against him. The honeymoon was over. It was back to what it was. Like, I had just canceled. That was back in 2017. And I literally was just trying to figure out, what was I going to do? How was I now going to get out?
Right.
And the only thing that sped that up was that in September of 2019, he decided to file divorce on me with all these allegations of cheating and blah, blah, blah. You know, at the end of the day, the way I look at my divorce is a blessing in disguise. You know what I'm saying? So but my last straw was back in 17 when I had canceled my divorce, moved all the way out to Suffolk, and the honeymoon was over after 3 months. It was just like, okay, this is it.
Wow. Yeah, I understand. So I just want to open up to everyone. First of all, I want to say thank y'all so much for being a part of this. We still got work to do. We have 11 people. Next time, hope 22, 33, 44. You know, let's keep on going. No one is not alone in this situation. Even if somebody for you is, this is the reason why we want to get a shelter. This is the purpose of wanting to get a shelter, so we can help that single woman. And the reason why we're going for single women is because there's a lot of shelters out there for families, women and children. However, there's not a lot of shelters for women who are just single. So if you think about it, a woman would just have a baby, just to have a baby by abuser or whoever, and get a space in a shelter. They will look at her then. But is she happy with this child? Is a big possibility. No. You know, so this is the reason why we are Phenomenal Woman is doing what we're doing. We trying to raise as much money as we can with the GoFundMe. We want to be able to put enough money down on the building ourselves instead of having the government say, you could do, we give you this, but we own this. No, we want to say, we own this. The community, you know, own this. And I want to definitely thank everybody who did donate. We still going, we're going strong, we're going forward. And if anybody would like to still donate, I have the cash up. I will put the cash up information. In Nigeria, would you do that for me? Okay. Put the cash up, put the GoFundMe up there, so that way anybody, we don't care what it is, whatever amount that you feel that can help build or help us towards our goal, we appreciate it. So I want to open up to everyone who's up here. If you are feel safe enough and you are you look good, show your face to those who's listening. Ask the queens any question. I'm sure they will answer it. I know I do have a question up here in the chat. So the question is, do you have trust issues, and how does it affect your new relationship? And this is from Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Joseph, Ms. Joanna, Mr. I am Cardwell. If y'all would like to show y'all face, if y'all okay with that. If not, I understand. Mr. Joseph is my husband, so everybody's okay. Ms. Johnson, I read your question. Hi, Joanna. How you doing? Go ahead, sis.
I guess my question was, when you're dealing what has been through domestic violence, how do you cope in new relationships, or how do you handle new relationships without still taking old abuse to new relationships? Or and do you have trust issues in new relationships?
Can I answer, Shanice, from my view, or?
Yes, go ahead.
You definitely have trust issues. Like in my situation, I was being surveillanced, I was being recorded without my knowledge. So that definitely like affected, like once I came into knowing that information, that definitely shook at my core that, you know, like I had no idea that I was being watched and recorded, you know, all my conversations being recorded from my personal phone. And you, of course, immediately didn't have to make those necessary changes. You know, I changed my phone, I changed my car, I moved, obviously, you know, to get out of the immediate, you know, danger of like being under watch, let's say. But I would definitely just advocate that you definitely need some time. I don't recommend anyone coming out of a DV issue to then just jump into the next relationship or next situationship, or the new word entanglement. Because you know you need that space. You need that space and time to like figure out, okay, what just happened here? You know, what just happened here? If you don't take that time to yourself, you're definitely going to bring all that baggage with you, because you haven't even taken the time to sit down and take a look at what was it that happened, what did you contribute to that. You know, we're always contributing something, you know. Again, not blaming ourselves for what happened, but it's like, how did I play into this? You know, what what could I have done better to kind of avoid this? And some things are totally under your control. You know, there was no control at any part in that, but I'm definitely now more savvy in terms of like my social media, my phone. Like if I want to just be out in the world, don't want to be found, I will shut off my privacy. I don't always tag where I'm at on my social media, because you don't, you know, we out here just trying to live a free life. You know, you don't always want to be under watch, and you know, sometimes you need a break. I took like a almost 6 month social media break after everything happened. Like I wasn't online how I was before, because I just needed some me time. I had to figure out what happened. But
Right.
it just takes time. It takes time and doing that work, that inner healing work, to get past those trust issues so that you can move forward and into a healthier relationship.
Right. Thank you. So yes, and yes.
Thank you so
So
much.
anyone else want to comment to that? I want thank you. I want to say, Joanna is the author of a book that's like, wow. I was actually looking for the book to, so my daughter-in-law, she could read it, and Joanna wrote a book called I Was a Statistic. Am I right? Hold on.
Can you repeat the last thing you said?
I
I
said,
have like bad connection.
oh, okay. So I was explaining to everybody that you are author, and the name of your book is I Was a Statistic.
I never thought I would be a
Oh,
statistic.
right. There you go. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you. I read her book, and it was like, I met her last year, and I read the book. I was all in. So please put the name of your book in the chat. So if anyone would like to order the book, Joanna, and I'm tired of the internet abuse. We all going through internet abuse. Put the name of your book, Joanna, inside the chat, please. Thank you. So if anyone else would like to answer that question, do you have trust
Yes, can you
issues?
hear me now?
Yes.
I would like to answer that question.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I used to have trust issues. I tried to get into a relationship after my, you know, bad relationship, and I realized that I need to learn myself again, find the things that make me happy again, because I didn't know myself anymore. Yes, I do agree. You do need time for yourself. I was in a serious relationship 2 years ago. Okay. Love.
Okay, internet abuse. All right, say I heard you laughing. Maybe you came back. Okay, we're gonna put you on mute. No.
Can I answer? Well, okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Keisha. Go ahead.
With me, even though I've been through a lot, when I get into a relationship, I always go into that relationship looking for something I didn't get in the previous one, the past one. So the relationship that I get, I just try not to bring my past in it, but it's there, and I try to treat the person the way that I want to be treated. So I do not, bring that abuse there. Sometimes it comes up because when you get into arguments with your mate, then you get reminded of an argument that you might have had in the in that bad situation. But you try to handle it better. And if I see a person that become abusive, and it's going to lead down that road of being that person that I left, then I try to get out of it as soon as possible. I do not waste time. I shut it down right away. So that's how I avoid repeating the same thing over. So that's my response to that.
Thank you. That was very, very helpful. Sometimes we be too afraid to be by ourselves. And sometimes you get to the point that you by yourself for so long that you're not going to take nobody bullshit. Excuse me. Nobody's. You don't care who it is. At the end of the day, you know what you want. You're comfortable with what you want. And when you smell it, gotta go. And I think that we allow love to get in the way of us exiting a situation because we love the person so much. We stop loving ourselves. So when you start loving thyself again, you realize I like to go to the movies. I like to get my hair done. I like to look good, smell good. I like to go to work and work hard and work overtime. All these things. So when you start understanding who you are and somebody come along and say, and you're not going to do that, and you're not going to wear that type of perfume, and you're not going to be working overtime. Hold up. Wait a minute. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to buy me a little red flag. Is that a red flag? One of these things. So unless we could compromise. Okay, well, I'm not going to work overtime, but are you? Because I wanted those $300 shoes. You know what I'm saying? So if we could compromise and that can happen, then we good. But if it can't happen, red flag. So, and red flags is real, so they are. And we put love in front of all of that, and we get sucked up. So I wanna turn it over to the men. So Mr. Joseph is my peep. So I'm gonna let you go last, Mr. Joseph. Okay, we got a guest over here. I am Cardwell.
Yes, ma'am. I am he.
Well, thank you, King. How you doing?
I'm by faith, I'm great. I've been sick for 5 to 7 days and I still feel like crap, but God is on the throne and the work must be done. So
right.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. My prayers are working. So
That's
in answering, I'm great.
I'm great. That's right. Absolutely. And I would like to say thank you for tuning in with us. I appreciate it. I hope if you're able to share a story on DV, because once again, we want to put our men go through this as well. We did have a male panel at one point, and my husband, he moderated that, and it was awesome. I mean, it was to the point that the brothers, one of the brothers was crying, and all the brothers got up and showed him love. And we stood back, was like, that's what I'm talking about.
That's
You
powerful.
know,
That's
yeah,
powerful.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really good. One brother mentioned that he was being molested by African Bambaataa. So, you know, that was, whoo, that was deep. So otherwise, we just trying to continue to do what we do and bring the awareness to the forefront. So
Sure.
if you have a story, or if you don't have a story, just tell us what made you want to be a part of this Zoom with us.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, women, for allowing me to be here today. My relationship is actually with Miss Nigeria Anderson from Urban Buzz magazine. Very thankful for her and thankful for everyone who was on the call today.
Yes.
My name is Frank Caldwell, and my stage name, my moniker, is I Am Caldwell. I have a mental health advocacy LLC that I have, and I actually work full-time in now, and it's called I Am Caldwell LLC. And how did that come to be? Because for 20 years, I've been a songwriter. I've been a vocalist off and on. It's whenever I feel the need to sing, I sing. That's why I have my own indie label. But what brought me here today is that my entire platform as a vocalist, as an advocate, as a songwriter, is to inspire, uplift, and encourage. Now, so back in 2014, I was living in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale, and I was approached by a women's shelter organization who had heard some of my inspirational music, and they reached out and said, you know, do you think you have anything that would fit our messaging for our upcoming October campaign? I said, sure. So I wrote a song called No Excuse for Abuse. The proceeds, part of the proceeds went to the women's shelter, and some of the DJs agreed to play it. And so that's how I got involved. And so while I don't have a personal DB story, I do have trauma stories. And as a songwriter and as an advocate, my experiences with trauma, I believe, can intersect, heal, help, encourage in just about every area of trauma. So while I don't have a personal DB story, I have personal relationships or personal stories of trauma, of being verbally abused, of being physically abused in certain situations. The song that I wrote is fictional, but it talks about, you know, a man and woman who was about to sit down for dinner, and their backstory has been that there has been some DB occurring in the relationship, and it seems like everything, they sit down to dinner and it seems like everything is going fine. Then all of a sudden, the conversation begins to shift a bit. And typically in this situation, that's kind of when the DB starts to rise up. And of course, there was the physical contact. And then the victim or the survivor eventually was saying that, you know, there really is no excuse for abuse. You know, I never want to hear you say anything that ends in abuse. So at the end of the song, it really says, it pulls the message that there really is no excuse for abuse. You're worth more than they deserve. If anything, they should learn that there's no excuse for abuse. And so that's how I was brought into this conversation. I actually release that song every October without fail, and without any, and I know this sounds strange, but I really don't care about money. I'm not a songwriter, nor am I an artist because I want to be famous. I love where I live, South Carolina. I don't want nobody to know where I'm at because I'm at peace. But I do certainly know that God has given me a gift to encourage, uplift, and inspire all over the world, and it actually has happened. And so I will continue to do this, you know, until the day it is that I'm called. So I would also like to speak to for a moment about, we just talked about trust. And again, you know, my songwriting for the past 4 or 5 years, you know, I started with R&B gospel back in 2000, and I've evolved it to write in different genres. But I did write another song that's called Trust Again. And this was once again based on all of the different traumas that went on in my life. And I found at one point that I was not able to go forward because I could not let go of what they did or what they said. As a matter of fact, through counseling, I realized that sometimes what they said wasn't really factual. It's what I thought up and I locked onto it and I went with it when actually it wasn't true. They didn't really say that. I thought that there was something they would want to say or possibly would say, and I just went with it. Did it really happen the way that I thought it did? Or maybe I was just wounded. I was already wounded. Did I just take offense, at what they said? Were they really directing it towards me personally? Was it constructive criticism? Whatever it is, years later, it caused me to have trust issues, and I couldn't go forward in my relationships. I couldn't go forward in my music because I had this dam, as it were, holding back all of my blessings in the ways that I could inspire people because I couldn't let go. And once I let go, and I wrote these words, take away the pain so I'll trust again. Show me how to live, want to trust again. Freedom from the past so I'll trust again. Learning to forgive, want to trust again. And once I began to pen that song, then everything changed. And again, as a songwriter, as an artist, this is why I write music. When we were talking about the one thing that I hear, which is actually very applicable, is my story. Right. Well, I believe God does everything for a reason and in his own season. So I just recorded a song with probably the most autographical and personal song to date that I've written because it's really about me, and it's called what? My Story. Wow. And it really, so I was in the studio, and I don't know if anyone knew the late great Troy Sneed. I actually worked with Troy, and his one of his daughters was in the studio with me. And as I was singing the song, I came out, to talk to the engineer, and she said, "You know what? I'm only 19 years old." She said, "But there is something for everybody in the story. I found my story in your song, My Story." And I thank God for that because, again, what I do is a gift. It is freely given, so freely I give it back. I am so blessed to be able to share these different messages with people regarding trust issues, regarding, trauma issues. And so once again, that's what brings me to this conversation. I am very excited to work with all the organizations on here. We will once again be releasing No Excuse for Abuse in October, and I am willing and able to serve in any capacity for volunteers or whatever you need, because I do this full time now. And so please do not hesitate to contact me at iamcaldwell@iamcaldwell.com. And I am here at your service. God bless all of you women. Stay strong because God is on your side.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that 100%. If you can hear me clap, I wish I was, wait, hold on. Let me hold on.
Frank, I want to say.
There you go. I'm giving you my claps.
Thank you so much. And if God give you another song, feel free. But we talked about this before, and I know I'm going a little ahead for October. But again, Shanice, this is a gentleman that will come on board with us in that time if he's available, or in his songs that we can sell as fundraisers. Correct, Frank?
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, we definitely talk about that, us three together. So I think before we go to Mr. Ali, Sister Melissa had to get off, but she did leave a comment. And I don't want nobody to say I didn't read the comment because we are live. And don't forget that anybody, if you still want to donate, you go on the GoFundMe is in the chat. So let's see what she put here. Okay, so she said that she wrote a book. Uh-oh, I went past her and I went to somebody else. Oh boy. Okay, so she wrote a book that discuss my personal testimony of overcoming my mental abuse and into what? Lord, where am I at? I'm not with all this. So, and then she also spoke about financial abuse, if I'm not mistaken. So she talked about that as well. I wish she was still on because I'm not good with doing all of this at one time. So, Mr. Cardwell, I am Cardwell. He left his SoundCloud. So anyone who wants to hear it, you can go underneath SoundCloud, click that. I want to also ask anybody before we go, Mr. Ali, do they have any more questions? I know 2 of the queens had to leave because they had to go to work for 3 o'clock. Sister Keisha, you still there? So now the questions go to y'all too. Mr. Ali, it's on you. Speak about it. What's on your mind? Any questions?
Peace, everybody. I hope everybody's well on this afternoon. Unfortunately, I've been listening, but I'm missing a couple things because I had to go out and get my car. But I wound up locking the keys in the car, so it was just a whole big debacle, and I'm finally done. But anyway, from what I did hear, I definitely heard some inspiring stories from the ladies on the panel, and I really respect their courage in sharing their stories, because it's often difficult to come out and bare yourself and bare your soul to people that you may not even know. I myself got into this paradigm basically through my wife. My wife was doing a march against domestic violence, and I wanted to expose my daughter to that information. So I basically called up Shanice Gatewood, who was at the time not my wife. I called her up and told her that I wanted to participate in the march. And I wanted to bring my wife there as well. I mean, my daughter there as well. Unfortunately, my daughter wasn't able to make it, but I did go anyway, and I participated in the march. And from that time point, I learned a lot about the dynamics of domestic violence, and you know who gets abused and what are the different forms of abuse and all of these different things. So you know, I started to support We Are Phenomenal Women. I started to support Shanice Gatewood, going to the different events that she was going to, and you know, it was very enlightening to learn about different aspects of domestic violence. It was so enlightening that, you know, in my grad school work, I actually incorporated some work on domestic violence into my final projects, and I was able to create a program in one of my classes, because I recently have my master's degree in health education and promotion. So I created a program actually called There's a Safe Way Out, which is to help women that have been through intimate partner violence to assess the situation and see if it's a harmful situation, and to move on from that situation if it's more healthy for them to be out of that. So I see my role going forward. My wife and I, we started a for-profit arm to We Are Phenomenal Women called I Am Phenomenal Unlimited. And this organization will basically help to empower women that have been through domestic violence. It will be able to help them to create financial uh, 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 a financial stability for themselves beyond the relationship that they once were in, because we know that financial abuse often keeps someone in a relationship that they may not need to be in. So by them coming through us and learning the different parameters of domestic violence, and then learning to be an advocate for those that are also going through it as well, they will be able to financially empower themselves and empower themselves to speak truth to power to other people. So that's basically my piece to this. And I think it was an excellent panel, and I think we should continue moving forward. With that, I say peace.
Peace. Thank you. So I wanted to ask, as I also asked Mr. Caldwell, was he in a domestic violence I don't know if you expressed that or did I ask that to you, Mr. Ali? Were you in or were you a part? So if you were, talk to us about that. And what was the last straw for you also?
I would say that I have been in domestic violence. I didn't know at the time. I have been in domestic violence relationships, probably on both sides of the equation as a teenager. A lot of times verbal abuse is something that is prevalent within our community. It's probably some things that I have been through where people, they like to call you out your name, they talk to you crazy, stuff like that. I've also gotten into altercations with significant others, but I never knew that these things would be considered domestic violence until I learned more about the dynamics of domestic violence. So, I mean, the turning point for me basically was when I went away, I had a lot of time to reflect on myself and like what I wanted as far as a relationship, and I realized that in order to have a healthy relationship, it has to be 100%, 100%. A lot of people say 50-50, but it's not 50-50. You have to give your all to a relationship, and you got to expect that from the person that you're in the relationship with. If they're not giving their all, and you're not giving your all, and you're not willing to concede or bend a little bit to their side and vice versa, it's really not going to work. And we have to speak to each other with respect and try to live with harmony at all times. And you can't allow anybody to get in between your relationship. If something is going on in your relationship, you have to work it out with each other. That's basically what I have to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna give you a soul clap. There you go. So there's someone on the line. I've been asking this individual, can they show their face, or if they could just speak, the 348-869-1173. You getting called out right now. There's no name, but I'm gonna unmute you, and if you have a question, you're more than welcome to ask. Why I cannot unmute you? Ms. Johnson, do you have another question?
I do.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. Thank you so much. I have a question for the gentleman that's on the line that has gone through domestic violence or know people or men that have gone through domestic violence. How do you erase the stigma of men being afraid that they would be frowned upon or looked at having gone through abuse, but still need help in those resources? So as a man of character, standing strong as a king, how does the man come and say, I've been abused, and not feel like he's not being a man after gone through that abuse?
So that question goes to Mr. Joseph or I am Caldwell?
I have something to address. I can address this.
Okay.
I actually teach a class for NAMI. It's called Ending the Silence in regard to stigma. So I would absolutely say, for us men, it's, traditionally, it's been very difficult. We hold everything in our vest. So some of the things that we can do is find a trusted friend, a pastor, a rabbi, the old basketball coach, or a very close friend. Understanding that the stigma behind this is that people will look at you less than, when actually it's quite the opposite. Once you begin working through those issues, you then become a conduit of blessing for others, because it shows that if you have the strength to do it, and you have the strength to strive to make changes, that they can as well. So that's one of the ways I actually do. There's also, some people, some men, quiet as it's kept, they like to write, or you can express yourself in art. There's a lot of different ways that we actually can do this. Of course, there's always, seeking out a counselor. NAMI has, different 1-800 numbers and websites where there are always counselors standing by. It's very private. It's just one-on-one, and it's a safe place if you don't have another safe place to be able to share your concerns and receive some instruction on how you can be better at what it is you're trying to attain. So I hope that helps.
Is that for men only or just for anyone?
It's actually for anyone, but the reason why I brought it up is because as an African-American man, I am quite in tune with the struggles that we go through to admit anything that we're going through. It's just very difficult. It's sometimes, we have that stigma that men don't cry or men don't do this or men don't do that. For me, I'll tell you how I erased my stigma, and this is my story. I said, it's not worth it being traditional. It's not worth it asking for or figuring out or caring about how it was going to make me look. I was in a struggle for my life.
Wow.
And as a strong man, I decided that, if they liked it, fine. If they didn't, fine. But I was going to find relief because it was tearing me up.
Right.
That's why now sometimes I counsel men on this. But yeah, that's why I brought it up exactly for men, because I know that we struggle with talking.
Well, that's really helpful, and I would like you to put that in the chat, because a lot of men do not express themselves. They don't speak about what they've gone through. Only way men will is if they know their homeboy have gone through it. So it's like for example, I'm just gonna throw this out there, cheating. So it's like, once that dude know that his homeboy girlfriend cheated, it's like, oh well, she did the same thing, she cheated on me. But they don't discuss, she smacked me, or or she called the cops on me for whatever reason. They won't speak about certain things, and I think our men should be comfortable about speaking about things that affects them.
Absolutely.
When I say affect them, that means they're like angry, they're aggressive, when if somebody's sexually molested, like the guy who's talked about African background, what he kept that inside. He didn't say nothing. But other people, when he spoke up, other people started speaking up as well. It's like once that one person do it, everybody starts saying, "Oh my God, me too." Right. So with that, is like our men need to, because they need help as we need help. So if I'm getting the help and you're not getting the help, it's like still a toxic relationship.
Right. Right.
So men
continues
should get together and have support groups. Definitely, most definitely, appreciate that. Yes, Keisha.
Yes. Speaking of that, through research, I find that there are more men are abused than women. I do a lot of research. Jail is overrated of abuse. The childhood being like pushed being under pressure by gang members, friends, so much, from their fathers to their mothers, so I find that a lot of men that become abusive because they was abused.
Right.
So, those things that need to, and they don't want to talk about those topics, and I find that it's important that we make an awareness to men too,
right,
that it's okay to talk about your being abused, because the healing process has to start with talking about it, because if they don't, they're gonna keep on acting out, with just like if we would act out if we was abused as women, you know. I just wanted, I know we get right in. I just wanted to say one thing, if I may. I wanted to say thank you for allowing you guys for being here, for me being on this. We really need to really, like, all of us have different organizations. Next week, we should be planning another event. Like, I have a support group every Monday where it's just a women's support group. It's trauma. Shanice was on last Monday. Every Monday from 6 to 8, I have a Rise to Freedom support group. It's from 6 to 8, and we talk about different topics. And narcissist is one of the topics that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And I put the information in the box. But we need to get involved with so much. Together, we can unite, and we can make a difference in people's lives. Absolutely. We here to make a difference to people, because this is how I get my therapy. I have a therapist that I see every Monday, but you know, you guys is more important to me than speaking to my therapist, because I can identify with your stories. I can identify, and I know I'm not alone in this. I don't have to feel alone anymore, and I get better. And even though I have still a lot of stuff inside me that need to come out, this talking about this took so much burden off of me. Yes. And we have to keep this going. We like, like, men, thank you for participating. You know, I would like to get involved to do things to help get a message out for our men, because the domestic violence is, we can go into mental health situation. A lot of that it started from there. Mm-hmm. Right. So you won't hear the last of me, and I will love to be a part. Please put your information with Shanice. I will get involved. My name is Keisha Gordon on Facebook, New Harlem Entertainment. Seeds for Growth is there. You can look me up. I'm all over on Facebook. So God bless each and every one of you. And together we can do this. We can do this. Of course. This is why absolutely. This is why we do what we do. We are Phenomenal Women. I learned, and I know Mr. Joseph, Mr. Ali, you want to speak. I learned, because at first my goal was the women. We are Phenomenal Women. But I realized it's not just women who go through domestic violence. It's also men. It's more. So, hold on. Men. No, yes. I know. Hold on. And it's the women, the men, the children. Hurt people. And when I got into, I doing the panels, I started hearing the brothers start. And remind you, it was just an all woman thing. But the men was the bouncer or the DJ or the so and so, and they start coming out because they was that comfortable to hear that. Yes, sisters, y'all going through this, but I have too. And they just say, hey, can I speak? And this brother was so tall, and I had to bow down, like, go ahead, sir. And he shared his story, and it opened my eyes up to say, wow, men go through this too? I was shocked because I was being abused by a man, so I would not think that men go through this as well. So we start having more men come out and more men speak. I would not ever want to say no to a man to express what he went through, because this is an open discussion. This is a family. This is a community, and we want to be able to help one another. And how can we help one another? If I'm shutting down the men or I'm shutting down the women because I'm having an all men panel, it's not right. So, like Keisha said, together we definitely gonna get this done. Mr. Ali, because we got a couple of more minutes to go. Speak your mind.
Yes, I just wanted to say that when it comes to what men go through, and probably women as well, with domestic violence, a lot of it comes with conflict resolution and what exactly is a healthy relationship. A lot of the times we're not taught in our youth exactly what a healthy relationship is, and we just basically go out there and start dealing with different people of the opposite sex, and we live and we learn. However, when it comes to conflict resolution, the best example we have is from our parents, and what our parents tell us is either you do what you do what I say you're gonna do, or you get a spanking. And that's basically the beginning of, okay, I'm gonna overpower a situation. When it comes to these relationships, unless you have been in a situation where you were allowed to come to a common solution with somebody by listening and adding on your opinion without anger, it's hard for somebody to come to that ability unless they have had to practice doing it. So, I mean, I think that it's going to really start with us being able to teach our children healthy ways to resolve conflicts verbally and having respect for the significant other. I mean, it's really going to have to start at the foundation in the home. If not, then we're going to continue to see this cycle for many years to come. With that, I say peace.
Peace. And that is generational. Can you express that?
Yeah, it's definitely intergenerational because the parent is basically they're gonna feed off of what they was taught as a child and what they've been through. If they've been through a domestic violence relationship, if they've been through child abuse, then they're in turn, that's how they're going to solve their conflicts when they have children or when they have a mate. And it just goes on and on. Unless some new information is brought into the equation and that information is accepted, then the cycle goes on, and that's intergenerational abuse.
Thank you. Wanted you to say that. Appreciate it. So with that, we're gonna close up. Just one second. Hold on. I have to step away. I was reading my book, and it was something inside of my book that I wanted to say really quickly before we get off. Okay, so it says, no matter where we came from, no matter how difficult our childhood was, we can all make a positive change, and that change could be today. So with that, I say peace. Thank you for being a part of We Are Phenomenal Women. Together, we can fight domestic violence by having open dialogue with others who have gone through it and who are just sitting and listening, who have not shared their story just yet. But if you are a woman or man who's gone through DV, please understand you're not alone. Thank y'all for tuning in. We Are Phenomenal Woman is off. Peace. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
Peace, peace.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Blessings to everyone. Blessings to you.
Yes.
Peace and
Have a great
blessings.
day. Have a great rest of the day.
Peace and blessings.
Great
Thank
day.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
God bless everyone.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.